I want to turn just to some things you've posted in the last week, which you then deleted. And I want to ask you why you deleted them. So the first one,
Sure.
You said the thing I'm not supposed to say about the Epstein files is that women have become such lying whores that it's impossible to take any of these unsubstantiated claims seriously. Women have sex, then cry rape so often that real victims never face justice. Now, notwithstanding that a lot of people will be highly offended by the language you've used there about women in a generalized manner, why did you delete it?
Yeah, so there are so many members of the public, unfortunately, which try and abuse judicial bodies. And we do have a problem. And I think you're probably prepared to admit this. We have a problem in the West now where girls who may not get a handbag they want will make false claims to the police and people's lives are ruined. And this is truly disgusting, not only because men's lives are ruined, but because when we have a scandal like this, where there's real victims and real justice must be done, we have too many people involved or too many people who have previously cried wolf, which makes it very difficult for the investigative bodies to get to the truth of anything. So it's truly heinous that women lie and pretend to be raped when they're not and make real victims, put real victims in a position where they cannot trust the police to get them justice like they deserve.
So why delete it?
It was just deleted by my PR team as I slept. As you know, I'm facing a criminal case in the UK for a lot of the things that I've tweeted because they think that my speech is somehow, Jess Phillips and Keir Starmer believe my speech is the most dangerous thing that exists on the internet and that the UK society cannot function while I highlight distrust in these institutions. At the same time, of course, they're promoting Peter Mandelson to some of the highest levels of government. So they're corrupt to the core.
But you see, what I would say is...
He's slick with it. Andrew Tate is so slick with it. Like, I mean, it really wasn't the right timing, bro. Especially during this whole situation. But I gotta give Tate props because I'm not gonna lie. If Piers Morgan would have asked me that bullshit, I would have been like... yeah, it's because of, I would have been fucked. I would have been cooked, chat.
Totally understand why your PR team would do that because you don't say a small number of women or qualify in any way. You just say women have become such lying whores. And I find that deeply offensive. I'm not even a woman. Why generalize about all women in that way? Why say women have sex, then cry rape so often? The real victims. Why not phrase it in a way that might engender some empathy for your situation rather than actually make every woman who hears that think that you hate women, you're a misogynist, you think they're all liars, they all cry rape? Why talk in that generalized inflammatory language?
Well, it may shock you to believe that women absolutely love me and my largest fans are women and I'm approached every day by women. I don't say things to try and elicit sympathy for myself, Piers. I made a brand on saying what I believe to be true, even if it's shocking, even if some people find it confrontational. My point is that we have a massive scandal now where genuine victims exist, where we have compromise on the highest levels of government, and we have women who are wasting police time with false accusations. And many men's lives have been ruined by exactly that. And it's disgusting because rape, I have many daughters, is probably the most heinous of all crimes that exists on the planet. And you like to believe that if a woman cries rape.
But you also know that only in the UK, about 1% of all rape cases are successful. 99% do not lead to conviction. You must accept that that also is outrageous and shocking and has to change.
Well, that's outrageous if the 99% are genuine rape claims, of course. We can't try and get the number up without evidence. My point is, of that 99%, how many are fake? We don't know. We live in a world now where, very unfortunately, women can get huge financial gain, and they can also get huge social media gain by falsely accusing men who never did anything. And that makes it extremely difficult for the judicial authorities and the police to find true victims. If we didn't have all these fake rape claims being given to the British police all day, perhaps they'd have more interest, I doubt it, but they'd certainly have more time in investigating a serious pile of evidence of over 6 million files of people who are spending a lot of time with a convicted pedophile. These things are not mutually exclusive. Of course, we need to try and prevent any kind of fake accusation of crime happening, of course. And of course, crying wolf makes it more difficult to discern what is true and what is not true. But it is very clear that huge piles of evidence exist here inside of the Epstein files, which have been ignored. And it's not only because of fake rape claims. It's because of systemic corruption inside of our democratic systems. And the democratic system has all of the resource it needs to come after the people like myself who highlight these corruptions, as opposed to trying to fix the problem.
Yeah, but on the one hand, your position is that the Epstein files, they should be all released. These awful men should be held to account. Blah 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 blah.
I think that all men should be investigated, sir.
Okay, but on the other hand, you then say, but the problem with the Epstein files is women have become such lying whores, it's impossible to take any of these unsubstantiated claims seriously. How do you square those two positions?
It makes it very difficult for a judicial authority when they get a claim of rape, knowing that 99% never lead to conviction, to take them as seriously as they should. So this is a two-pronged attack. Of course, the police need to heavily investigate every single accusation of rape, as they did on my brother and I. Of course, they took that extremely seriously and failed to reach conviction. They should.
You're inferring that the 2,000 women. You're inferring that the 2,000 women who've made allegations about Epstein and other men involved with Epstein, that none of their claims can be taken seriously.
That's not actually what I'm inferring. What I'm inferring is that when you understand information warfare and you understand how important it is for them to try and shape a narrative to save themselves, if one of those women have lied, they're going to take her story, prove it's a lie, amplify it, and try and discredit all of the women who have actually told the truth. That's why it's so important that women do not lie to judicial authorities about things like rape, because it's extremely important.
But why don't you talk more respectfully? All right, but why don't you talk more respectfully about women in general, but save your anger for the small minority of women who do what you say they do? It's not the vast majority of women. You know it and I know it. It's not like all women that make these allegations are making it up. You know that. And it's the way you talk in this generalized term is why people think you're a misogynist and hate women. And you may well, I don't know if you are or not, but I do know that when you use language like this, which even your PR team then take down. I mean, look, another one you posted that they took down, I presume they took it down, you can clarify. You said, I miss human trafficking. The emotions ran high. Been chasing dopamine ever since.
Yeah, it's hyperbolic. I think you're aware that the internet has changed a lot across the last 5 years and that the entire nature of conversations has changed. And it's hyperbolic to highlight exactly how ridiculous it is that I was accused of human trafficking in the first place, while we have members of the Labour government which are spending time on an island with a convicted pedophile. And everybody else at home understands that. The internet is heavily hyperbolic. It's heavily sarcastic. This is the way the internet currently functions. So I don't think anybody at home really believes, one, that I'm a human trafficker. I've yet to meet anybody in real life who said anything other than they're trying to stitch you up, Andrew, for highlighting their corruption. And secondly, even if I was somehow convicted of human trafficking, that people would believe that I'm going to tweet that that's what I want to do. It's called sarcasm. I'm sure you understand it very well. The nature of the internet has changed.
Why did you take it down? Or was it who took it down?
I'm answering the question. And these gotcha moments are 5 or 6 years out of date. Nobody cares anymore about these gotcha moments. Everybody knows that I've been completely unfairly treated by the judicial authorities, that my business and my reputation has been slandered by the exact people who were doing the crimes.
Well, hang on. What do you mean? Okay, let's unpick this. What do you mean by gotcha moment?
By you saying you tweeted this sarcastically and you can't say that. I don't think anybody's interested in this anymore. We have a much bigger and more pressing
I didn't know
concern.
whether it was. I didn't know what you were doing with this tweet. All I read was what you wrote, and then it got deleted, right? Which infers that either. Well, who deleted it first of all?
I understand if you don't understand sarcasm. My point is, we have a much more pressing
who deleted
issue.
it? But who deleted it?
While I was asleep, members of my staff deleted the tweets. And I perhaps, in my bid to fight the UK government to the very end, perhaps where I'm so pressing on the point of truth, perhaps where I try and highlight how corrupt and how disgusting these people truly are, perhaps it would be more sensible for my own freedom to not tell the truth about some of these things and not be so pressing and not and go away and be quiet, because that's what they've been trying to make me do since the absolute beginning.
Well, that wouldn't be the point I would make. No, I don't think that's what your PR team was saying. I presume they were reading the words, I miss human trafficking. The emotions ran high, been chasing dopamine ever since. I don't think it's a gotcha of me to read back your own words and to ask you what you mean by them, given that your own PR team deleted them.
It's clearly sarcastic and hyperbolic. And I think that to sit here and talk about tweets which are sarcastic as opposed to the systemic corruption that exists inside of all of our democratic institutions is probably a waste of time. We can talk about it for the rest of this interview. But clearly what's far more interesting is the fact that we have a ruling class which is ignoring the electorate completely. There's two-tier policing taking place. People are spending time with convicted pedophiles and sending them billions of dollars. And me highlighting in a hyperbolic and sarcastic way how ridiculous it is that two young boys from Luton were accused of human trafficking, slandered, investigated, and put in jail, while none of these people face 1% of the punishment my brother and I have been through. I think that highlighting that ridiculousness is actually quite important. It is absolutely insane that my brother and I have been investigated more heavily than anybody else inside of those files.
Let's turn to another controversy you were involved in recently. This was the night you went to a nightclub in Miami with Nick Fuentes, Myron Gaines, Sneeko, and Clavicular. You all came under heavy criticism because in the van that you were traveling in with people live streaming from it, you were playing Kanye West's song Heil Hitler. And that song was then requested to be played once you got in the club to the DJ who played it unwittingly. There's been a lot of backlash.
Why was
this,
the DJ?
as you know.
Let's be professionals, Piers. Why was the DJ unwittingly? What, he was unaware of what the song was?
Well, he claims to have been unaware of what he was playing. So we'll come to that in a moment. Let's go through chronologically what happened here. Whose idea was it to play that song in the van?
Well, I didn't play the song in the van. And the great thing about this entire event is that it was live streamed and you could see me say, "What is this?"
Right.
And leave the van quickly. I also think it's pretty ridiculous for us to, once again, as we highlight that all of our institutions are completely corrupted to the core by satanic pedophiles, and completely ridiculous for us to sit here and ignore a genocide that just took place and complain about a song being played. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's okay.
Well, we're complaining about, hang on. We're complaining about it's ironic because we're complaining about a song being played that idolizes Adolf Hitler, who waged one of the all-time worst genocides against the Jewish people. So actually, it couldn't be more relevant. I'm glad you mentioned the genocide word. So let's just stick to what happened because I'm curious. You're all in this van. The word is that it was Sneeko that put the record on in the van. Is that correct?
I believe it was Sneeko. It certainly wasn't me. Somebody else played it, and it's all on video. I'm sure that you and your team can do an investigation and work out who it was. And by association, being in a van when someone else plays a song, to try and grill me for that, considering that you were at a book launch and accidentally took a picture with somebody who's now in jail for pedophilia, you understand very well sometimes you're just in a place and something
But I'm not
happens.
judging you. I'm not judging you in any way. I'm asking you what happened. This is your chance to clarify what happened. You have sort of clarified it in other interviews. So again, it's easy to characterize what I'm doing as a gotcha. I'm not after a gotcha. This thing happened. It got well reported. You got hammered along with all the others for it. I'm just asking you.
Soon as he said, "Nah, bruh, you was hanging around with some pedophiles, bruh. Ain't nobody calling you out, but you want to call me out for a motherfucking song?" That's when no. Ain't nobody over here trying to frame you. Man, Piers Morgan is a motherfucking bias. We do not trust rich people from the UK. Fuck the rich politicians or anybody in the news media from the UK. Fuck y'all. Shout out my people in the UK, but all the politicians, all the news outlets, all the people locking up British people for over some fucking tweets. Yeah, fuck y'all, bro. You know what I'm saying? Freedom of press, freedom of speech. And if I want to hang out with my partners and my partners want to put a motherfucking song, it does not fall up on me. You know what I'm saying? Just like you not trying to take any type of, just like you trying to wash your hands after you took a picture with a pedophile, bro. You know what I'm saying? The same things goes for Andrew Tate, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I don't know. It's just something that I'm just seeing. It's just like, bro, the double standard in this shit, I don't like it.